Oh,
We haven't changed the time yet, Claire.
I'm looking at the
It's really cold in here.
Good catch, Ted. So now, do you have anything you want to tell us about, or you want us to ask you?
Well, I can, you have the, everything is pretty much, level funded, so I can, let me go to my, except for the salaries, requesting, this year would have been a step increase for myself and for Mary Ann. Mary Ann is in the classification system under whatever the classification lists are at. I was unsure of the actual rate on that, so I think Andrew has that. And
I think 1885 was correct. Weird.
Okay, so she's under the plan and you're not.
that's correct.
Okay, all right.
Right,
Because
because she's an
she-
hourly, she gets
Yeah.
paid
Yeah.
hourly.
Yeah.
Because Ellen's a elected
Yep.
position.
So her current rate right now is $18.85 an hour. So she'll be due for a step increase on August 28th of this year.
Okay.
Will be her
Mhm.
first step.
So that's when it will
Okay,
be.
that's what that note is on the side,
Yeah.
okay, yep.
Okay.
So
Now,
the
have
other
you
thing-
calculated, excuse me a minute, have you calculated that to include it jumping to the 19 in your,
I have it.
for the half a year?
Andrew has that.
See what it is.
To make sure it's in there.
I didn't- So then, other than the, I'll just looking that up, everything else, the town clerk expense, everything else is pretty much, is level funded for the most part, except for election
Yeah.
expenses. The overall budget has gone down, obviously because we have, less elections. But the cost per election has, well, the election, cost of the election expense account will actually be going up on an annual basis by the, and that was net of $1,250 a year, because that's gonna be an annual expense for the maintenance of the poll pads, for the new,
Okay, so
and
I was gonna ask you about that. Seemed like we were getting something new last time we talked. Did you get them?
Yes.
Wonderful.
And in fact,
They work.
today, those are the poll pads that we got, and we used those for the town meeting. We actually used them for the first time.
Oh, okay.
And they worked excellent. It was
Wonderful.
great. We had instant quorum. We didn't have to go
Mhm.
through, save time for
Yeah.
everybody at town meeting.
Yeah.
So that worked out very well. We'll also be able to use those for early voting when our next early voting season comes around, which
Yeah.
I think maybe as early as February. Because I think right now the presidential primary is set for March 6th. They're going to try to bump that to February to try to be part of that Super Tuesday, I guess, or whatever. I think they're going to try to. So Massachusetts is one of the first states to vote with the other states. I feel like you're so probably.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No, but no.
exclude you.
I
You
left
could
Brian's
move over
line
here.
open
I don't
for
know
him.
where Brian is.
Brian's pretty thin.
So, other than, yeah, the poll pads have worked really great, and I think going forward, the state will approve them for election use. Right now, they're not approved for the actual elections, only for early voting. They're still trying to, get them certified by the state to use for, check-in, check-out, which will be nice. That's what our ultimate.
Weren't you gonna get some machines that counted the thing too?
Yeah, yes, and those
Oh.
are the ones that we got today.
Oh.
So our vendor came today with our brand new voting machines, because the AccuVote machines that we currently. we're
Yeah.
Well, it used to suck up the
have
ballot,
been-
you'd wonder what happened to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
This new one's gonna suck it up too, but Actually, the new one is a little slower in taking in the ballot because there's a lot more security features to it. So the active vote was no longer certified because of security issues, and I guess they didn't want Russia breaking into Massachusetts elections. I don't know. But we went to what's called the image cast. It's basically an upgraded model of our old AccuVotes. So when voters go to the polls, we're gonna basically have the same type of ballot. You're gonna fill in the ovals, like we always did. And they'll feed that through the machine. And then the machine has a little touch screen on the top, so that if, for instance, they accidentally vote for 2 candidates instead of only one,
where you should be one.
Right, and the machine will acknowledge that, and it will show the voter, oops, you voted, you overvoted on race number 1.
Yeah.
Do you want to reject, do you want to cast the ballot as it is? If you do, that would be counted as a blank, because it's an overvote. You can't vote for 2 candidates, you can only vote for one.
But it would only be that particular job, not the whole ballot gets thrown out.
Right, if only the ones that the voter might have overvoted.
Yeah.
So it will kick it back. And then the voter will have the option themselves to either hit the button, the green button, say, yeah, cast it anyways, I know it'll count as a blank, I don't want to take the time to go back to the booth and vote. Or they can say, oh, I didn't realize, I thought I was supposed to vote for 2. They can reject the ballot. Then the election worker can spoil that ballot, they can get a new ballot, and then make sure that their vote is counted for who they wanted it to count for.
That makes sense.
So they're not losing, the intent of the voter.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot more security features on it too, so there's a lot more, in the background, extra security models. Like we'll have little seals on the front of the machine that will lock in the memory cards. And the other ones had that too, but these ones, it's like double secure, everything is.
Good.
Anyways, so we actually have our test deck scheduled for the 19th. We have our election worker training set up for the senior center on the 27th. And our vendor will be out for both of those to make sure everything goes smoothly. And there also will be available on election day to get us up and running and close out the polls in case there's any.
This next coming up one
for
quick.
The first election,
oh, okay.
Yeah, for April 1st.
Yeah, good.
April
Great.
Fool's Day, it's not a joke, there really is an election. I'll be electing a lot of fools, myself included. So, other than that, the other, is there anything else? So that was the $12.50 due to the annual maintenance service contract. And then we had an increase for just the detail rates for police. Was that? I don't think anything else was increased.
You have a new administrative clerk?
Oh, yeah. I had this on last year, we discussed this last year, about getting, having a part-time person in the office to help with the filing, and I just threw in, I think about maybe 9 hours a week would be good. I didn't know what classification for rates or anything, so I just put in $15 an hour, because I don't know what the classification would be for that. But this would help to kind of, right now we depend very heavily on, as we always have, on community service.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, we do.
Seniors.
We do depend very heavily upon that. But if we could actually have someone on staff, because I think we really need another person on staff, because, I mean, it even shows through how much community service we do use. But to have that person on staff, we could actually have them do more. They could be bonded. They could actually have a key to the office. They could, help if Marianne is out. They could help with the customers at the window. They could take in payments. They could help post. They could help. They could do a lot more things than just with filing and stuff. And where we have, they could like fill in the voids too for like vacations and stuff like that. So if Mary Ann's out or there's that extra person. The other thing that's nice too now is, and you know, Monday and Wednesday nights we have office hours. A lot of times we're the only ones in the building, so it's nice to have that second person in the building as well as two. So it could maybe help with that, to help cover those. Normally, Mary Ann and I are both here Wednesday nights unless one of us are on vacation or out sick. We always try to do that. Monday nights I'm usually here by myself and I usually don't have that issue, you know, much of the issue, but you know, it is something that I think that might also help with.
Do you feel there's an increase in work?
The work is definitely increased.
And what would you put it down to, why the amount of population hasn't gone up that much?
It's the laws and all of the things that we're required to do now. A lot of that has changed, and trying to keep up with, you know, again, we have all of these things that got pushed off to the clerk's office for the ethics training every 2 years and the conflict of interest. I mean, we struggle with that. We struggle with trying to get all that data in. All of the, you know, even with the dog licensing during busy times, like from January to really after, like, to May, those are like our really busy times, because we've got, you know, 2,600 census forms coming back at us all at once. We've got all of the dog licenses coming, you know, that's another 1,500 coming at us at once. I mean, these last few weeks, it's exhausting. We come back and it's like, we've done, you know, 300 and something dogs in less than 2.5 weeks. That's insane. You know, we're trying to keep up with all of that and all of the census forms that are coming in. And so we have certain periods of times that we're really, really busy. And we have customers coming in, and all it takes is somebody to come in and with a public records request. And now we've got to drop what we're doing because we only have 10 days to get to this public records request. So we have to reprioritize, and we're constantly reprioritizing because we have to. But I just think if we had that extra person, it would help alleviate some of that. And I think if I put in 9 hours a week, maybe it's, you know, it may not be a steady 9 hours a week. Maybe we have them come in, you know, more during the busier times and then less during the not so, like I said, or kind of juggle it around maybe. I'm just trying to find it so that we're not so, and I can, I know, like when I come in, if I'm working on my budget or if I'm working on something like that, the constant interruptions and stuff, you need that time to be able to sit there and to go through to do it right. And we don't, you know, we always do that kind of after hours, after public hours, because that's when we get all that stuff done.
Yeah.
Getting our deposits together, I mean, that's a lot. At $10 a check, and you do 3, you know, all those things, it's like, it's a lot of checks. So we're making big, you know, we're doing big bundles of turnovers too. So.
Would that be something that maybe a high school student could be doing internships? Or a college even?
I don't know.
No.
Only because, I mean, we use the community service when they come in.
Yeah.
I'm looking for somebody that we can train and would not have to retrain every September.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, we're looking for somebody to come on and be part of the staff and try to be part of, you know, get them trained. There's too much that they need to know. You know, we have confidential information in our offices. We have money in our offices. We need somebody that's bondable. They should be bonded. You know, we should have, it would just make more sense to have just that, you know, an actual position where, like I said, we could give them a key to the office, you know, and
I mean, retraining is just terrible. That retraining that's wasted time. I mean, it's hard to do.
It really and truly is.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, the town of Barre has been so fortunate to have the community service workers that we've had. they've come in year after year after year, so we're not retraining them.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, now they come in and I don't have to tell them anything, they go right to their box and they're, you know,
Yeah,
they
they
go
know
and
what
they
to do.
know what to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
and it's so nice. I'm not stopping my day to go and say, no, you know, you gotta do it this, and you gotta do this, or Mary Ann isn't taking away from
Yeah.
her stuff to try to show them how to do it and hope that they know the, you know, the MC comes before the,
Yeah.
so they're filing correctly and.
Yeah.
But, and then going forward, you know, we're hoping to, you know, digitize and get our records more manageable and accessible. That's a lot, it's a lot.
Mhm.
So going forward, I think that, you know, it would be beneficial to have that, you know, and even if we worked it around, I mean, I don't think we would need like another whole desk, another whole setup at this point. I think that we could work it so, you know, we could have them in between Mary Ann's hours or something so that we can, you know,
Mhm.
have them come in where there are enough hours so that, you know, even if, and I do have that table, like right now when they come in,
Yeah.
we have a big workstation, we actually have 2 big workstations.
Yeah.
That they come in and they have to work at. But,
Now, would you,
so,
would you be still using the community service?
we would still use community service whenever we can because there's always
Okay.
something to do.
Yeah, 'cause for like filing and stuff like that.
Yeah, for anything that we could use them
Yeah.
for. Like I have one community service worker is going back through all of the old town meeting minutes,
Uh-huh.
all of the old books, and creating an index.
Yeah.
On the, you know,
Yeah.
we have them entering into the computer, just an index, so
Yeah.
that, you know, when somebody comes and says, hey, when did we do this? I mean, I would go back and hopefully easily access it.
How many community service hours do you think you use?
Well, I could tell you, we have 2 community service workers that use their full $1,500, whatever that comes to.
About 96 hours, I think.
So we have two that
Did you
use
say
that
86?
About 96.
Oh,
I think.
96,
Yeah.
yeah.
time for each one, or 96
For-
each,
For each.
for each worker,
Yeah.
so that's 180, 90 hours they do. And most of their time, we have them working with census and mailing out all of the required, like voter registrations and those things that are required to be mailed out.
Mhm.
You know, unfortunately, I'd like to be able to eliminate those things, but I can't. We still have to do the mailings because they're required.
Yeah.
But I have been, if you guys noticed when you got your census forms, I've been trying to collect email addresses
Yeah,
and stuff too,
yeah.
so that's another process, but I'm hoping that maybe, that might help in the future with, being able to, use emails for sending out either census forms,
Yeah.
if the state will allow us, and the, dog license renewals.
When did you send out the forms? Are they out?
Census
Oh,
forms went
yeah.
out in January, so everyone should have
You
gotten
didn't
them.
send yours.
I didn't even see it. I can see if my bride filled it out.
Maybe she filled it out
I
for
sent
you.
mine back, so.
It's blue and white, and it has a
Yeah.
little, what we did is the last couple of years, and I have to say, this has worked out really great. At the bottom, we have a little tear-off sheet for them to fill out their dog information and tear that off so that they can, send their check back in with their census form. So that's another thing too, so it's like when we're getting our census forms back, there's also checks in there. They also send their excise tax sometimes. We never know what we're gonna find, but, we always make sure it goes to the right office. But, it's not even just a matter of, you know, opening up census forms, it's opening them up and sorting them into 2 piles, changes and no changes. The no changes we
Yeah.
can scan in, the ones that have changes on it, we have to manually go into the system and enter in every single change. And we've had a lot more data entry because we have been collecting email addresses and trying to get
Yeah.
those into the system. So it just adds a lot more time.
Mm.
But I think we're headed in the right direction as far as trying to get our records. And Andrew's been fantastic in helping us get organized, and he's really done a fantastic job with helping us, you know, get all of our, like even going out with the voting machines and getting
Yeah.
all of the paperwork and the procurement stuff. He was great with all of that. He handled that and was very helpful. So well, I'm excited. I'm excited for the new technology for the town, and I hope that the residents will like it and will save them time too when they come to the polls. Hopefully we can get them in and out. And like I said, when they vote, it takes a little bit longer for the ballot to go through the machine. It does a couple, when I say a little longer, it's like maybe 5 seconds. But I know they like to put it in and run, but they don't have to stand there for 5 seconds and watch their ballot go through, and then watch the number go
Oh, so
up.
you gotta watch it so in case it kicks back?
Yes.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
you've got to tell them.
Because we want the voters, we don't really want election workers touching the ballots if they don't have to. You know, it should be the voters should be there watching their
Yeah.
ballot go through and watching the number
Yeah.
come up, and they
Yeah.
know their vote was counted.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I think that's gonna be our biggest, I'm hoping that that's gonna be our biggest issue. We do have 2 write-ins positions on the ballot for Housing Authority and for Barry Associate Planning Board member, Associate Planning Board member. Those are the 2 vacant. Nobody took out papers for those offices. I have had a couple of people interested in, they still have not filed any paperwork yet, but as possible write-ins. So we could have write-ins, which will change the dynamics of
Yeah.
things a little bit. I have not heard of a candidate tonight yet.
For-
So I don't know if there will be one planned or not.
Yeah.
Hopefully there will be, because I think it's good.
Yeah, they don't have
So-
much time either.
No, they don't. And we do have a contest for selectmen, so I would hope that maybe some,
Yeah.
try to get the interested voters to come. But other than that, I think those are, going forward, the only other thing that I have, which is the capital plan, and that is the public records management program that we've had on the plan for the last 5 years. I just talked to Andrew today, and I think we're gonna put it off one more year.
Yeah, I think just right now we're
Yeah.
looking at what the school demands are versus our projected revenues. We're gonna have to be very conservative with our capital budget for next year, so.
Hmm.
Yeah, and next, I got a new proposal too, and we're gonna have them come in and go over everything, make sure that nothing has changed. I know that the prices have probably gone up again. We're looking at some of the specs, and there's some add-on things that we may not need that we might be able to work around. So Andrew and I will meet with the company and.
We want to be 100% confident in what we're
Yeah.
purchasing if
Yeah.
we're going to go forward.
And it is
Yeah.
very technical.
Mhm.
It's and again, that's what Andrew's very good with the technical stuff, because the system that we're looking at, it would be it'll be scanning in, digitizing all of our
Yeah.
records, and then getting it into some software that will be searchable and indexable, and so that we can quickly retrieve. But the computer components and all of the background stuff is, I'm not an IT person. So I find that very confusing, so I'm glad that we have. And prior to this, we had Adam, who was the
Oh, yeah.
IT
Yeah.
director.
Yeah.
He was the one who was really going with the, understanding all
Yeah.
of that part. and, oh yeah, we need this component, oh, we don't need that component. I couldn't tell you if we needed that particular component or not, because I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
When what we have for a server now, is it, you know, what's compatible, so there's a lot of things that still need to be worked out.
And they always try to sell you extra stuff.
Right.
I always know
Oh,
that
I
people
can't
call.
imagine. Clear.
I don't want any more.
I've gone through that
Yeah.
when I've worked.
Yeah, and that's what, you know, we were talking about that today, we don't wanna buy something that, more than what we need.
Yeah.
We don't wanna buy,
You don't want all those bells and whistles.
no, not if we don't need it. But yet, if there's something that we can incorporate and say, hey, you know, this little thing here can also do this over here, then yeah, I
Yeah.
wanna pull it
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
I wanna also consolidate and try to get as much as we can
Yeah,
into it. But if it means, like, you know, they talk about having another public portal to add on for a public, well, if we already have that through the website and there's another thing, and then we don't really need that because there's other ways to get around it.
yeah, yeah,
Rather than spend the money to have that, then
yeah.
we don't need it.
Yeah, it's also a matter too, it's like, if you're expected to change what your operation is, like, you need to know that that's what your new operation's gonna be. You don't wanna be like, well, we'll do that, and the way it used to be done, or else you're just never gonna change, and you're just gonna have all this backup data
Yeah.
that you paid for on a different platform.
Yeah.
And then just still generating a whole pile,
Yeah.
that you didn't, that needs to be done at some other time that you don't have.
Right. We have to utilize it. It's not something you wanna get and then put on the shelf and not use it, or
Right.
get it and then find out that, like you said, this actually happened to the town clerks when, you know, we had the vital records program that the state implemented. Well, half the clerks had the new system, but they were still issuing the manual old certified copies the old way. And so, you know, it was defeating the purpose of getting everybody using the same thing and getting the consistency across the board. So then it got to the point where, you know, we would go for a passport, and the passport agent says, we don't recognize this certificate, this isn't up to standard, so now we're not gonna accept it. So now it kind of forced everybody to, you know, use the
Yeah.
system, so you can't like do things two ways. But everyone loves it now, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get used to
It
it.
has its bugs that work, but they all do it. But
Thank you very much.
Well,
You're
this
very
is the
welcome.
first run through,
Yep.
so.
Yeah.
Understandable. So we are all set if you have any
Yeah.
questions.
Going down will be easier, Ellen.
What's that? Oh, God.
Than running upstairs.
I sit too much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a good night, and
Yep.
thank you very much for the, yes. I kept it warm for you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Anytime. Have a good night.
Yep.
Which do you want to start?
But I want us to, meaning which budget or which issue? because I have the bulletproof vest that we talked about at the last board selecting meeting that I need to bring up to you.
Sure, go.
What's this one?
Bulletproof vests.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was, the,
Yeah, you were
Yep,
at that meeting.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
Thank you. So we have, basically we get a 50% reimbursement grant from the federal government. We apply for it every year. It's a 2-year grant. We have money in it. We have 2 grants active right now, so we have plenty of money to buy the vests that we need, but getting 50% back.
Yeah.
Problem is, we had 3 officers leave this year. So in addition to our normal cycle, a certain number of officers have vests that expire every year and we have to purchase them. We didn't expect the 3 people leaving. When you send you buy the vests, the vests are $938 each. You buy the vest and then the federal government gets back to you with the check 2 months later, 6 months later, whatever, it always comes, but it comes to the town hall. So what we've been doing is we've been getting half of it back and half of it's come out of our budget. Now I found that there's a second grant that the state has, and it covers the other 50%. So, and it's the grant is on a 5-year rotation, so they refund it every 5 years, or at least they say they're going to refund it. So it's funded right now, and it's on a first come first served basis. Now I just found out about it, and I sent in all the paperwork, and they tell me that they're either going to issue the awards in April or in September. We don't know. It depends whether they feel like moving some money forward, because there's a lot of departments like us asking for money, or whether they're going to wait until September. The bottom line is, every vest we buy, we should get 100% back on it. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
However, the vendor wants the money up front. So we have the need to buy 5 vests. We have 4 that have expired. We have one officer who's in a vest that he's brought from his other department, but he has to give back because we just hired him. We have 1 in a used vest, which is not a good idea. We have 2 that have expired and need to re-up, and mine expires in November. So in my mind, it's better to get it now than wait into the next cycle. But but I don't have the money in my budget because this is not anticipated. However, it's all going to, I say we're guaranteed to get half of it back, but there's no reason why the state wouldn't give it to us the other half, because in order to qualify for the mere qualification for the state grant is that you got the federal grant. As long as you got the federal grant, you qualify for the state grant, which we have the federal grant. We always get that money back. So, but I can't buy the vests without you guys fronting me the money. Basically, you don't have the money for it, but you get it all back.
Yeah.
Now, how many vests are you looking for, and how much is the money?
5 vests, and total is $4,690. But I could cut back 1 because mine doesn't expire until November. If you want to go that way, but the other 4 are essential. Just wanted to get them all out of the way.
Yeah, because the other one could come out of the reserve the following year.
So then take
Reserve money.
938 out of that, and that would be the absolute essential purchase.
Is the money somewhere? Is real money somewhere, or what are we doing here?
Reserve fund.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there's 50 in that? How much was?
How much is in the reserve fund?
Yeah.
10,000.
10,000. It used to be, at one time we had 50 in that.
50 or 15?
15.
50.
50.
Well, if you could get it up to that amount,
Yeah.
it'd be great. Yeah, gotta cut some fat.
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
to that.
That was a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Chief, how
But
do
then
they-
when
how
there
do
was
they
that
wear
money
out?
there,
Is
everybody
the
was coming in
material
for money
itself
out of
age?
there.
They really don't wear out. They are rated for 5 years. That's it. So even if it stops a bullet at 6, the federal government says it's not. You can't put it on an officer and defend him at 6.
Okay. I just wonder if it aged, if the stuff aged and then didn't work.
There are things that can affect it, and quite frankly, as vests have gotten better, there used to be body moisture would affect it, would be the biggest thing.
Mhm.
But now they have better carriers, better outer shells. However, they rate them for 5, and that's it. That's
Oh, yeah.
5. So it's the industry standard. And I think a little bit of that is history, and I think a little bit of that is the advanced invests technology
Oh, okay.
is so significant that after 5 years, like the vests that we're purchasing are so much better than the vests from maybe 3 years ago. So
Mhm.
you know,
That
Yeah.
makes sense
Yeah.
right along.
so that is that's where I stand on the. I mean, I wish I could tell you that all your money's going to come back to you, but in this, it's going to come back.
Yeah.
So it just.
Without a quorum, can we do this?
No, we
Can't
can't
vote
vote
to
on it.
transfer anything.
Without a
Can't-
quorum?
Not without a quorum.
When's
No,
your-
so
when's
we
your-
can't vote.
Yeah, so when's your next meeting where you might?
Couple weeks.
But you
20%.
know it, so I wouldn't have to present it to you again? You could.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't think you have to present it. We just-
When do you need it?
Anytime now, because the vests that they're wearing expired in early February. So, sooner the better.
I'm surprised Brian isn't here. I thought he was gonna be here.
Yeah, I just got back from Florida, so I don't know what's.
No, they've been back a while.
Yeah, about a week, I think.
Could we give him a call? Maybe he forgot. Would you
Want me to
call him?
call?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got the.
Because maybe he forgot. I didn't get a chance to send out an email this week.
I just assumed I missed it. Like your email, so I was, but up here I go.
It
I don't
was,
have his number.
it was
Hope it's really tonight,
a
Deborah.
rough week.
Yes.
How many officers are on the force now?
Currently, we have 8 full-time in a position to hire on July 1st for the 9th, and then we have 5 part-timers. We
Are-
want to have 6.
Are there people around? I mean, we hear about a lot of jobs having tough time finding qualified
We don't
people.
have any trouble finding people.
You don't?
No.
Oh,
They're-
okay.
They're, you know, we've gotten to a point where we get a lot of applications, and we're able to be selective. But it's been a long-standing practice to hire full-timers from the part-time staff. And the last time I spoke to the Board of Selectmen about that, they continue to encourage that as a, you know, like a honoring an obligation. I think people are gonna, and I agree with that. We have some good part-timers right now. We could have hired the 9th guy, but in discussing it with Andrew, and because of the, you know, the guy's leaving, so that puts us in a very big budget crisis. We're saving the money on that one spot and not hiring until July 1st to kind of offset the cost of being
Yeah.
down. You know, we're using a lot of, we're fortunately have some part-timers really stepping up, so. No, as a matter of fact, I went down and I recruited a part-time academy down in Springfield, and we got a lot of response from that. And then I'm going in May to recruit another part-time academy in Worcester. But it just seems like people are interested in us right now.
Good, that's
So,
good.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the budget.
Yep.
All right, so.
So that would be 3,752?
Is that what, I haven't done the math, but.
4690 minus the 938.
938.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so do you have specific questions about the budget rather than me going over every line item? Because it's pretty, I'm sure you've looked at it, you're horrified.
Yeah, if you can just tell us which,
So I'll tell you some of the areas.
we've got a lot of pages here.
All right, so I'll tell you that in the, on the salary side.
Okay,
we learned a
that's
lot-
this first one.
When I first saw the budget, and I saw that everything was lumped into one number, I wasn't really comfortable with that. And when I came before you, we were talking about categories, and Andrew and I have talked a lot about this. Unfortunately, I think we both look at this the same way, and that is, I'd rather break down the big number into smaller categories so we can track where the money's actually coming out.
Mhm.
And that actually worked to our advantage, and we're just trying to do a little bit more of it this year. We used to have a big number for salaries and overtime and everything all
Mhm.
bunched in.
Right.
And then, you know, you get to this part of the year and all of a sudden you're over budget and you go, well, it's the overtime. But in fact, it isn't. So we got to the end of our first quarter this year and we looked and half of our overtime was gone. But because we had moved it apart from everything else, now we're further breaking it down, I could see exactly what was going on. I could see trends that you can't necessarily see. And we started staffing and shifting, differently, and we adjusted the schedule so that we would spare ourselves from going like completely broke so quickly. And I need to be able to do that. I need to be able to pick out where the money's going. And it was one of the things is everybody took vacation in the beginning of the year. And is this being recorded?
Yes.
Yeah. So we adjusted on that. We basically, we took a look at the way time off was being paid out and being replaced. So I like to have smaller categories, so when something comes up, you catch it in the first quarter right away. So that's why you see some of these breakdowns, and I've looked at there are things in the contract like the holiday pay that they get. The formula is, it's pretty expensive to replace a guy in a holiday, and we have no choice about it. It's not like we can run without any officers. So I want to put that money on the side in another, so I guess it's contractual obligations. Is that let me just get down to contractual obligations.
Yeah.
Yes, that's basically the holidays, and I need to hold that aside because that's a huge drain, and it makes it look like you're using overtime, regular replacement overtime and casework overtime at an exorbitant rate, because all of a sudden you have a bunch of holidays come towards the middle of the year. Guys have the opportunity, if they want to not work that day, they can take it off. It's in their contract. They tell me they're going to take it off, and then I have to replace them. So virtually every holiday, well, not virtually, every holiday, guys take it off. They just get it off, and so we have to replace them at this very, very high rate, which is way more than the normal overtime rate. So I like to put that number in another category, and if somehow we get lucky during the year and we don't spend it, say only one guy books off instead of two, not say books off, but one guy takes the holiday instead of two, the town will get that money back, because I won't touch it. But we're going to but the account's going to be fully funded, so if they do it all, it doesn't kill our ability to fill other shifts and the investigations. So I've broken down all of that, and it's a lot. It's $22,000 in a year for us to do the, and what I'm looking at is pretty much minimal staffing on holidays. I mean, two guys book off on a holiday, I don't place two, I place one per shift, and just to try to save the town some money. And but at any rate, so that's why I've pulled that out, so we actually know that number, and there's a better chance that at the end of the year we'll have some of that left, and then that'll be for the town to decide as we're going through our budget. I'd rather have categories that I can work on than a big lump sum. So that contractual obligations is one of them.
So having more full-time guys, does that help that situation or hurt it?
It does help it. Having more part-time guys helps it more.
Oh, okay.
Because part-time guys get first shot at overtime.
Oh,
shift overtime.
At that time that this fellow took off?
Yes, so,
okay.
So now no part-timer is going to work part-time pay on Christmas. They're not going to work it on Thanksgiving, and they're probably not going to work it on Easter, but there are those times that they do. And they might pick up a midnight shift because, it's not really quite the same as working the day shift on Easter.
Yeah.
So that's helpful. But and the part-timers will say to us, we have more guys and one guy takes a day off and we're not running a short shift. And when one guy stays on, then we don't have to replace anybody. Except for things like 4th of July, when we don't ever want to run short, because Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day are typically, and by the way, Thanksgiving evening, I don't know if you realize the evening before Thanksgiving is like the biggest night for drunk driving in the year.
Yeah.
Because all college kids come home.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we have to put an extra shift on just to deal with the drunk driving on the road that night.
Yeah.
But so the answer is yes. If we can man 2-person per shift without having to pull in part-timers, and then one guy takes off and the other one decides he doesn't want to, then yes, we save money. So it's better to be full staff.
Now, their contracts say that they can take off every holiday? How did they ever let that go through?
I think there was a time when in lieu of raises, they were getting benefits. And, because the pay when I got here was a good bit lower than surrounding towns. And I think that there was a time when that's how towns would, say, well, we can't give you the 2%, we'll give you a 0.5%, but we'll give you this. And I think that's how we got where we're at. I mean, that's how it was where I came from.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at companies and, well, I worked for the light department. Some had to work on the holiday, but you had to work so many holidays in a year.
Mhm.
I think it was 3. We had to go in.
So anyway, we've got ourselves in this place, so,
Yeah.
you know. So it's something we have to deal with.
No, the thing I was wondering about, I mean, a job, as far as I'm concerned, is a stressful job.
Yep.
And if you see a kid doing his 40-plus lot of overtime, that ain't good for him. So
Right.
I understand now what you're saying. The guy that replaced him is on overtime, but it seems like too much overtime puts a real push on these guys and make the
Yes.
job even tougher.
And so there, and then going with what you'd said, being full staffed and having a full complement of part-time officers
Yeah,
means that they can share the load a little bit better.
Yeah.
The guys really only want to make so much money. They don't really want to just work day and night. And, you know, it's not like, they'll have little stretches where they want to, you know, maybe they're getting ready to go on vacation, but
yeah,
for the most part, they're family men.
Right,
And
I know.
that's what they like. So, you know, we're hurting right now, but we adjust our schedule so that we fill half a shift, you know, and we use a lot of part-timers. So we don't necessarily, because I don't like to tell guys you have to stay either, you know. We've
Oh,
got
no,
young
yeah.
families and all that, so that as far as from a health standpoint, it's better for us to be full staffed and have a good number
Yeah.
of part-timers, which
yeah.
we will be. July 1st will be so much closer, like
Good.
almost there. And by the way, we have them on agreements now that after they're hired, once they finish their training, they've got to be here for 3 years. Or they always back the money at the cost of training.
The thing I was wondering is, do you have exit interviews? And whatever you learn from them, does that help?
Well, I think
Or,
so we face certain things that we can't, like, yeah, when I got here, it was all about the pay. The pay's good now.
now that's implemented, I guess, right?
The
So
pay's
that, so
good.
that issue,
So now I never hear it anymore, and I heard it all the time. I didn't hear guys say I hate it here. They just said, you know, I could be making X plus 2.
Oh, yeah,
you know, over there, and it's
grass
X
is
here.
greener, yeah.
Now I don't hear that anymore.
Good.
Guys don't talk about their pay anymore. I mean, every once in a while you hear that there's a town with a Quinn bill, and that's few and far between, and that's a lot more money. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to ever come before you and ask you to fund that.
Yeah.
And we did lose one guy who, you know, was all about the Quinn bill in some other town, but, you know, okay, but that's rare.
Yeah.
So where that used to be a big issue, it's really not a
Good.
big issue anymore.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear, because that, you guys,
Yeah.
just tough to deal with, I think, for everybody.
You know, the problem when you get out of the academy and you can pick any department you want, you're young, and there's a lot of departments saying, hey, why don't you come over here and, you know, save us
Yeah.
the training costs. But now that they are obligated to stay for 3 years after they finish their training, that roots them a little bit. You know?
Right.
And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense.
Yeah.
I think once they're here for a little bit, they actually like it, you know,
Yeah.
like they get settled. So,
Now, these patrolmen 4 and 5, you don't have anybody
well,
in
we
those yet?
actually do now.
You do
We have,
now, okay.
Officer Chick is 4, and 5 is gonna be the guy we hire July 1st-ish. And one of the things is we hired guys, now we're getting, you know, more guys with college degrees, which is great.
Yeah,
But then we have a stipend that, you know, that we get, so we have to try to plan for that.
yeah, yeah.
That costs, it costs money, it's well worth it, but I could literally come back to you next year and say, that we're $2,000 under because we hired another guy with a college degree, we didn't know we were gonna get one, but right now that is what we need for next year, in education stipends.
Mhm.
I will tell you, there's something going on with the academy. We have built in there one solid tuition. We know we have to hire a guy in January. We know that Officer Chick, July. We know that Officer Chick, he's our newest full-timer. He's gonna go to the academy in September. The guy that's, whoever it is, unless they're full-time certified already, and that's, maybe we will, maybe we won't, we can't be sure. But if he's not, if he's just part-time certified, that means before spring, they has to go. Because there's a number of days, 270, I think, that they can work full-time.
Oh.
So we know that we're gonna have to pay for 2 academies. We know for a fact we have to pay for the first one in September. We already have, as far as I know, our slot. There's a new tax on rental cars in the state, $2 tax per rental car, and that is to fund training. We don't know how much of that is gonna be put towards tuition, so we don't know what kind of reduction we're gonna get. Initially, it was gonna be completely free, but now we know that they've changed their mind on that. So we know that we expect to pay $6,000 to go to the academy. I don't know if, in fact, it's gonna get cut in half, or if it's gonna get 33% off, or something like that. They haven't told us. They haven't crunched the numbers yet, because the tax just started in January. Meaning, if you were gonna cut somewhere and you just wanted to roll the dice and cut 3,000 of our tuition money, I might come back to you and say, you know what, they didn't give us a discount, but that's a place where I can see that we might get a savings.
I had something, I can't find it now, duty equipment. What is that? The terms don't mean anything to me, and I read it somewhere.
Okay, we're looking under which category?
Police supplies.
Oh, police supplies.
I wrote the same
$7,000 for duty equipment. And,
So we have to, when we hire somebody, we have to outfit them. So, you know, it's, I don't know if you remember, I've come to you, I've talked to you before, it was about $3,000 to outfit a guy.
mhm.
So we have to buy them all their stuff when they come in. You know, every once in a while we get a little bit lucky because a part-timer already has some of their stuff, but we basically have to buy them, you know, 2 shirts for winter, 2 shirts for the summer, 2 pairs of pants, all of their leather gear, everything. The only thing is we recycle. The guy that leaves doesn't take his gun, but we have to buy all of that. So.
Oh, okay.
And it's expensive. It's expensive to outfit a guy, so we don't want to lose him after we hire him. We've also
Now,
started.
where was that included before?
It's always been in, we've always had it in our supplies. We've just
Okay.
really never had enough to do it, and I'm telling you, we barely eke through, you know, getting the guys their equipment. And I've come to you a couple times and said, geez, I'm a little short for the new guy we have to hire. We have sort of a quartermaster system where we stockpile as much as we can, just to get us, when we hire a new guy, we collect up all the uniforms and the gear when somebody leaves. And we now have a system so that we have stuff we can temporarily loan to part-timers when we hire them, and temporarily loan to new guys because the contract says we have to buy them stuff.
Mhm.
We do our best to have, if we find a deal on stuff, we try to buy, 15 or something of them, so we get the good price now,
Yeah.
and we charge their uniform account when they, when they get out of the academy for, say, like a winter cap or something like that, gloves, traffic vests. We try to pinch pennies there and get a good price and then
Yeah.
pay it back. It's expensive every time we have to hire a new guy, it hits you. The academy costs alone are about $1,200 to buy the academy stuff. It's an expensive list of, and then they come out of the academy and now they need the regular uniforms. So it's a daunting list of books, clothing, just the duty bags, all sorts of stuff.
Now, what's the difference here between the duty equipment and then you've got clothing allowance and new officer uniforms?
So we're obligated to buy a new officer the full complement. We take, every year they get, I'll look for it, but every year they get a certain amount of money. I think it's about $1,200, $1,250 to replace gear and clean gear, like for example, if they have to dry clean stuff.
Yeah.
And, they just debit from that account. And then the first year that we hire somebody, we take that $1,200 and we put it towards their new stuff, so they don't actually see that. But then every year, the guy's been there, they get that. So every July, it re-ups again.
Because you've got a clothing allowance for 11,476.
Yeah, what that does is that speaks to every officer under contract that gets a clothing allowance.
Okay.
That's that number.
That's for his,
Replacement of gear, cleaning, maintenance, all that.
is it, that's just his clothing, right?
Clothing.
What do you consider gear?
So anything that's on our uniform, in our uniform policies, so they might want to get a new holster.
Okay.
They might want to get new handcuffs, gloves.
Okay.
Even, they could get a flashlight if they have to replace their
Okay.
flashlight or something.
Mhm.
The good news is you switch, like, we add stuff, and they're always very good about buying new issue, like we're going to bicycle, we're getting bicycle uniforms this year.
Mhm.
And they are fine with buying the new issue stuff out of their clothing allowance, which you don't find that in every department. Sometimes they say, oh, I'm not gonna get it if you don't, because my contract says a certain thing. But sometimes they eat up their clothing allowance, just getting stuff that we're, you know, like the bicycle uniforms, things that we're transitioning into, and they're very good about it. They're not selfish group of guys.
Now, I see here the ammunition and subscriptions, you've got down to 0.
Yes.
Is that because you've moved that somewhere else? Into another, broke it out?
Well, what he did is he broke it out. All that's below it is the ammunition. He's giving you a title, and then he's telling you do the ammunition, frangible ammunition,
Okay,
shotgun ammunition.
so that comparison isn't,
So the armory is a new budget. We literally not been able to buy bullets for quite some time. We've just been depleting our supplies. So we need an armory budget because it's a big part of what police officers do. And we pretty much limped it to the end of, like when we take the next box of ammunition and send it to the academy for our recruit, we're pretty much out. You know, we're done. That's it. That's the last of what we have. We've just been depleting it because we didn't have the money to really buy it because our supply budget was limited with clothing and just normal things that you need in an apartment. So we're breaking that down so that we actually have it. We have needs there that we haven't been meeting. And then, of course, the taser, which everybody heard about, and everybody was gracious enough to fund. We have to have that in there, too.
Do you have them, chief? You have them already? Oh, it is, okay.
It's a great thing that the town allowed us to get.
Try running out, see if you can stop
Yes.
Well, that's good, I'm glad that problem got solved.
Yeah,
I
our
think
other
it's better
ones-
than bullets most of the,
The other day, this new taser it's got new functions, and one of them is you can give a warning spark, basically, and it doesn't
Really?
send it towards the person. You just see it arcing over the front of the gun, and we've never, the old guns you'd have to actually take the cartridge off to do that, and we had a guy threatening an officer with a weapon not too long ago, and the officer said, "I'm going to tase you," and he said, "Go ahead," and then he pushed the button, and it went. And he dropped his weapon and said, "Take me." So thank you.
don't broadcast that around to the crooks.
Well, listen, if he'd have fired it, it would have hurt the guy. You know, it would
Yeah.
have stung him pretty good. So.
Oh, that's good, I'm a believer in that stuff.
Yes, thank you.
Smoke devices,
Right.
cigars,
No.
or,
So smoke devices would be a smoke bomb, a smoke grenade, and
Oh.
I'll tell you where so you'd think that's tossing it into a building, which you could do, but that's not really what they're for. We have a lot of helicopter activity when someone's missing, and you
Yeah.
mark as a smoke grenade.
oh,
So you need to let them know where you're at.
Yeah.
If they can, especially as it gets to be, there's more foliage, and they can't see you as well.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh,
You
yeah.
mark with your grenade.
All this training, is that done during regular hours? Is that
We
do?
There's overtime involved in training, so we do the best we can to limit that.
Mm-hmm.
We have advantages all of a sudden, now we have the new building where we can do some of the training here, and we try to bring more here.
Good, great.
So that we don't have to pay travel time for the officers.
Yeah.
We'd rather bring it, for example, bicycle training. We got a hold of, because, you know, all of our officers are bicycle trained now, right? And when I got here, there's two, I think, me and one other guy. So now all of them are. And we talked to the guy that teaches for Massachusetts. He's got his own school. He's a cop, and he also runs a school. And we said, hey, why don't you come on out? And he said, well, I'll give you a free slot if I can, you know, teach at your building. And there was 2 free slots. The next time he came back, it was a free slot. Now, he calls us up and says, hey, can I come and teach in Barry? They love the roads, they're perfect for training.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll give you 2 free slots. We didn't call him this time. So having that facility allows us, if we can bring people in, to save on
Yeah.
one officer
Yeah.
and the travel time. So we can get our costs down.
Yeah.
And then the guys get to train together too, and that's actually very valuable because then they don't get slightly different training, they all get the same.
Oh,
you
right.
know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's super.
I'll point you to the special events details. You'll notice that's a new category.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'll
we-
just look at that.
We've, let's see if I have them broken out there, I think we might have them broken out there. We basically looked at the events in town, oh yeah, Memorial Day, the car show, where I do it for free and we hire one officer. Halloween, Christmas, the 5K that they run for the opioid benefit,
Mhm.
and we figured there might be one more. And when I talked to the Board of Selectmen, when Andrew and I talked, if we build these groups, then we're hurting the ability of the town to have the events, which are so valuable to the event. So I can donate my time, but we still have to have, you know, other officers doing traffic. So we like to know what we're spending in a given year for that.
Yeah.
So I broke that out. But again, it's pretty much the will of the Woods building, and I agree that it's more important to have the event than and we don't want to charge everybody. So we just put it there so we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That car show was an incredible amount of
Yes.
people in town.
Yeah, this show was great.
Oh, yeah, unbelievable.
Now, when other events are held in town, do they pay for their own police?
So the races, because no, we're
Yeah.
doing community events. So if it's a private entity making
Yeah.
money, they pay.
Now, what about like the Felton Field there, the 4-H?
They don't.
Did they?
Whenever they ask for a police officer and they've had car shows and stuff like that, they pay for one. It's a better, because they only have an in and an out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they do pay. The only Felton Field one is the 5K that we participate
Yeah.
because it leaves the field and it goes around.
Yeah.
I think everybody was very moved by it. I think it's a good community event. But no, everybody else pays, and all the private entities pay. Yeah. There's 3 races this year, I think. They pay.
We haven't gotten the application forms for it yet, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
No surprise.
And what about Culver? Is that quieted down up there?
Yeah, they haven't required our services for anything. It's been quiet since I've been here, pretty much. Maybe a little bit the first year, but no problem.
They haven't had a concert in 4 years.
No?
No, they haven't had a concert since I've been here.
Not-
I've heard about them, I've heard stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you
I'm a
live
neighbor.
up by-
Oh,
She's a
okay.
neighbor.
I'm a neighbor.
So you can't wait till then.
That's what I just wondered. And then he's doing a, on Stetson,
Yes, what about?
how much you're doing that report for the
Right.
selectmen?
So,
They
yeah.
might like to hear that, because that will,
Right, I don't have, so the way that our in-house computer system works, IMC, it doesn't allow us to break it down per officer or per car, just per event. And I think the numbers, I just remember, I think we said 8 events a month is what they average. Eight times that we have to go there because of something other than we just drove through to do a patrol check. Now, I've started keeping statistics so I can come back in 6 months and a year and tell you, in addition to the number of events we had, how many cars, how many officers, and how much time, which isn't something that we can calculate with our normal computer systems, so we have to build spreadsheets for it.
Yeah.
Just to take a look at that, but, you know, and then, you know, some months are bigger than others, and I would have told you that the winter months were gonna be not much, but they turned out to be quite a bit.
Yeah.
so.
Kid with flip-flops and shorts in the middle of winter.
I know.
I heard that. I said, he's not gonna go far.
I know. But
Well,
yes,
then the one Friday, they said he had an axe. Did he really? I'm wondering if somebody
so
just made that up.
because it's pending, I can't talk. about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, but
I thought, how could a kid up there get something like that?
hey,
Maybe they're
magic.
not
Magic. They can get
supervising
stuff.
them, or not enough people working there? I don't know. But something needs to be done.
Chief, on your new vehicle, did you get a truck?
But we should have the truck tomorrow fully outfitted and ready to go.
Wonderful.
Yes, I cannot thank Salvador's enough. They give us a great deal. There's a special pricing that goes for police vehicles through
Mhm.
through Dodge or Chevrolet,
Yeah.
and this is a Chevrolet. And, dealers, the rule is they get a certain discount that they can offer that they have to offer to us, but then they can charge whatever profit they want. And the Dodges and our Chevy, they don't tell them what they can charge, and they just, they hit the bottom line with us, and I don't know any other department that's ever told. And I didn't, using the same process, I didn't get this price where I came from, and I don't know anybody else that's getting this price. So we are really, I can't thank them enough, and we use Dodges and Chevrolets, and it just happens that's what they sell. So
Yeah.
we got a great deal on the truck, and the reason you haven't seen it yet is because they switched models, Chevrolet, and there was a big backlog.
Oh.
They're moving everything up from Mexico, and anyway, you'll see it out on the road next week, minus the push bar on the front, because it's such a new body style. They haven't actually made one yet for it. So, but we have it, and I just called the upfitter, and they told me it'd be in today.
So is that all-wheel, four-wheel drive?
Yep. both,
And
right.
what kind, does it have a diesel or a gas?
No, it's got the Hemi. Actually, no, it's a Chevy, so it's a gas. It's
The 6.2.
Super powerful.
6.2 liter probably, yeah.
I mean, this is a truck that should take us where we need to go. And
Good.
we were just talking with National Grid about, now we'll be able to bring our own barricades out, things like that. So, it's a good looking truck.
Great. That's all I got, I think.
Jen, you got any?
No, no more. All answered.
Like every one of these budgets, everybody has their own words. You read and say, what the hell is that?
Yeah, well, that's
Just-
why, if
just
you can go
happened.
through them and ask.
No, that's why,
it's
you
good.
got to ask them. No, I mean, makes sense after you hear
And
why.
this broken out is better than having a lump sum that's a high amount, and then it
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
adds 20,000 the next year, and
Yeah.
you're saying, what?
I'm crossing my fingers, it means that we'll be able to find where we can save by looking
Yeah.
at them as smaller portions.
Good.
So we'll vote on that at our next meeting.
Yeah,
Did you
thank
find
you,
out what
Chief.
happened with Brian?
We thought it was next week, the 14th.
So 2 weeks from now, you'll have a vote on the vests, is that about right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what,
So we get one more person.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure we have
yeah.
them. We'll drag them.
Drag them in, chief.
All right, thank you.
Put them in the back of your brand-new
Yeah.
truck.
So we'll pick 'em up,
Yeah, you could go pick them up.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
One thing I wanted to find out, how's your canine doing?
Well,
How is
we have our fundraiser tomorrow night.
yeah?
So we really haven't raised, we've raised 5,000, I'd say, 5,000 right now. We get maybe a little bit more. So we're in the infancy of doing it.
Yeah, yeah. But it's progressing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
A lot of hairs on that dog. That budget, all those rules.
Okay, now, where do I find regional dispatch?
Most of it is driven by the employment contracts.
What can you do?
And then what can you do outside of that? It's really how the budget gets, say, blown out of,
Yeah.
I don't say blown out
Yeah.
of proportion, but how it goes over is that, not anticipating the stuff that you're kind of mandated to do and you can't put out.
Yeah, I just find it interesting. If you want to work for a company, you go to college and you pay the bill. Here, I get everything. So something isn't right. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I have to find where I put them.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Okay.
Where did you put them? Oh, here it is, yeah.
Just the last page, right?
Did you finally get the insurance?
They don't have the number that you gave me, so.
Oh, from the stakeholders?
Yeah, this is still the preliminary one I threw
I
on
didn't put
July,
in
January
the
1.
lease.
But
January?
you,
January 30th?
well, I didn't even give them that number yet.
It's the last page of the police budget.
Well, I
The
don't
only number
have
they
it
have
in
is the
there.
level fund.
Oh, you don't?
No.
0%.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, mine was on the last page of what Andrew gave us.
yeah. Figured that would bring it easier.
Yep.
I wonder, I don't know where I put it.
Thank you very much.
There's one person.
Yeah. Well,
Two.
two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where would you like to start?
Why don't you just,
Page by page?
well, just, kind of overview and then someplace we should look. Tell us
Yeah.
turn to page 6 or 5 or whatever.
Sure,
Just kind of hear what's going on.
definitely. So, page 2 is just pretty much about the Regional Dispatch Center, the
Mhm.
grants that we received. That was there last year.
Yep.
New is page 3, which is the department update. We did take on another community as of November 1st of
Okay.
2018, which
Yep.
was the town of Warren. With that, we received additional funding from the state 911 department in a total of $369,859. That was to replace some portable radios out in Warren, our dispatch consoles to provide additional resources to our communities now, and additional support money for an additional full-timer that needed to be hired to accept the town of Warren. With that being said, we are currently taking wireless 911 calls direct to our center from all of our communities at this point. Phase 1 and 2, that means phase 2 is your more modern day phones that give better location, GPS location. Phase 1 is your more outdated phones, your flip phones, your prepaid phones that don't really give the best GPS locations. They're harder to track. It's a bigger area, but it takes the state police out of the mix, which in the long run improves response times for the responders getting to whoever's having the emergency. Also, the state 911 department has rolled out, I'm not sure if anybody has heard about it, is text to 911. So now it is available to all of the public that you can now text your emergency to 911.
How the hell if you're hurting your head, how are you going to type it?
So it mainly the text to 911
Yeah.
is for the hard of hearing.
Oh.
Or if
And-
there's a robber in the house and you don't want him to hear you talk.
Perfect. I was just gonna bring it up.
I couldn't hit the letters close if he,
Exactly, if someone's in your house.
Yeah.
So we do have that ability now, but
Hmm.
they do say if you can call, if you can't, text.
And it will go right to Rutland
Yep,
from Barron?
any- Yes, any text will go to Rutland, yep, if you're in this geographical area, yep.
wow.
If you're close to a town line, it may, depending on where so there's a confidence rating that goes around where you are,
Mhm.
and depending on how much of that bubble is in one side or the other of that town line, you may come to us or you may go to the next town over.
Oh, okay.
But it's a quick, easy transfer that they can transfer you back over. What's that? Just jump through here. We were recognized by the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children for meeting the essential training and policy elements that we put together to handle missing child incidents. It's called their Missing Kids Readiness Program. We're one of only 7 communication centers in Massachusetts that has been recognized by the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. Just our dispatchers have more training than your normal dispatcher with handling these kinds of events that could happen. With that being said, we also do provide child ID kits with photos, fingerprints. We did set up, I believe, at the Berry Open House and did a few there, but we're available for any town event if anybody wants. We have a couple of liaisons that I have for my department that will come out with our portable machine and do fingerprints for the children. So that's another service that we do provide from the communication center now. That's pretty much the department update. Next page is our purchase services account, broken down. Really, the only thing that went up was our post office box and the TriTech software systems. That's the TriTech is the CAD systems, the record systems that all the police and fire departments use.
Oh,
Currently the police and fire departments don't pay for the annual support. The dispatch center pays for all the annual support for all the towns, so that's why you don't see that charge coming from the police department. So that did go up. Those are the only 2 things that went up. We switched from Code Red to Swift Reach 901, which brought it down $4,500 in price to have the same features plus more.
Your calls don't, the one Friday night, the Rutland Dispatch called me, but there was no, the message dropped.
Was it from a 774 number?
I think so.
I think so. I think that was the deputy chief that sent that out. So was that for the
Stetson.
Yeah. So he's been sending out those. I'm not sure. I can check into that.
Yeah, because I know I didn't get it, and then I
That's
waited
interesting.
for the email came through.
But the call didn't.
No. And then the Swift 911 that comes on my phone, I don't know how to look at it or answer it or what. Do you get anything that comes through and it says?
a cell phone? Cell
Yeah.
phone?
Voice, text, and then there was another one on it that's just arrows or boxes.
Yep.
And I've tried all of them and they don't do anything. That's why I said, that's
Maybe you're not in trouble, that's why.
I can take a look at that for you and maybe assist you with that after this. Hopefully clear
It's
that
gonna
up.
sell you a new phone, Claire.
No, I've got my phone is one of the newer ones.
Is it?
Yeah.
And the vehicle maintenance / fees went up. That's the last 5200-16, that's the only other one that went up. With that being said, so in FY19 it was approved for 3,000. The department did receive a vehicle from the Rutland Fire Chief. It was handed down after he purchased a new vehicle. So now the Communications Center does have a vehicle to reach our off-sites, our towers that are on Pleasant Street out in the woods, as well as all our other ones that we have throughout our surrounding communities. Also gives us the ability to respond and program their portable radios and mobile radios. We have all the software to do that, and we have been doing that since we've provided the radios out. Gives us that ability to do it on site now instead of having them have to bring all their equipment to us. And providing on-scene communications, being able to patch other communities together to better service our communities.
Now, these towers,
Yep.
are they run by electric?
Mm-hmm. Which I pay for.
What happens when the electricity goes out?
So the one on Pleasant Street has a propane generator, so that one runs off the
Okay.
generator. The one in Rutland is attached to our building, so that one is also protected by a generator and 4 UPS backups. OCAM's is also off of the fire department building, so that one's also ran off of their generator. We do have another one going up on our water tanks in Rutland on Wheeler Road. That will be just battery backup with a additional resource to plug in a small generator, because it's a lot less equipment that's going to be on that site. It's just a fill-in site.
Yeah.
And then we do have another one that's going to be going in Southbury on the Industrial Communications Tower. And I believe that one's going to be also the same as the Rutland water tanks. It's going to be battery backup with a small port to plug in a generator. In the future, there may be more and more, and we're not sure at this point. We haven't gotten that far.
Because I know why I asked the tower up on Town Farm Road. I don't know who's on that tower right
That's
now.
the one we don't know. That's industrial, I believe.
They went
Industrial's
up
tower.
with about 10 hours after we lost power.
Yep.
They went up with, must have been a generator on the back of a
Yeah,
truck.
I think there's a
And I
cell.
thought that must be powered by electric, but they mustn't have a backup.
No, I don't think there's a generator on site there. I think that's Singular that's on that tower, I believe. The last time I went up there, I believe it was Singular. But they also have the port where you just plug in the generator.
Yeah.
Obviously, they brought one up. and
Because
plugged it
I
in.
wondered, when I saw that, I thought, I wonder about the Rutland Dispatch towers in
Yeah.
town. How are they covered?
Yeah, and the one on Pleasant Street was oversized, so it's plenty big enough and
Yeah,
can
good.
power more than just the tower.
So we're covered.
Yep. Overall, the purchase services account went down $566. The next couple pages just describes each one of those purchase service accounts. It's pages 5 and 6. Just a little short, little narratives
Mhm.
in regards to every line item. Page 7 is our supplies and uniforms. Level funded, no additional funding is needed for that. Page 8 is our wage account. The increase is due to the additional full-timer. My contract actually ends June 30th of this year, so we are actually in contract negotiations with the town right now, so my director salary could change, that's why it is level funded at that point. So that's why these figures are not final. That's the only one that's not final, is just that top one there, until ratify a contract. And the reason for the 32% drop in the dispatch supervisors is we had a supervisor just resign from his position back down to a dispatcher due to personal reasons. So that's why we have that difference there. And that's why the full-time dispatcher spot went up. Any questions? Next, number 9, page 9, other expense account. This has all our health insurance. Originally, I had it built in with 14%, which that's what Fallon was coming back with, but the town just finalized a contract with Maya for, I believe it was 0.6%. So these figures were a lot higher as of last week. I just changed these, so it did go down $17,000 from what they were at. But this is where we're at right now. Temporary borrowing costs went down due to our grants on track and the state processing our reimbursements on a nice, timely manner. Page 10 is the summary of the entire budget. So last year we were at $919,086.35. This year we're up to $1,015,771.24. Below that, you'll see the Massachusetts State 911 grants section. The FY20 figures are not in at this point, so those could obviously go up. The 25,000 is going to stay the same, I know that, but the support and incentive line could possibly go up, which would further reduce the overall number that needs to be assessed out to the communities, which is the $682,167.24. So I'm still waiting for those to come back, and they will come out in April, I believe.
Now, what towns are included right now?
In the center right now, it's going to be Barry, Hubbardston, Oakham, Rutland, and Warren.
Page 11.
Oh, the next page?
Next page.
Yeah, that's right there. And that's the numbers that you guys want.
I don't know if it was a typo, but your assessed number,
Oh, yeah.
that's your,
I just saw that now. 682, 67. Let's just make sure those are there. Hopefully that bottom number is just off.
Oh, so 697's gonna be changed, right?
Yeah, at least double checking that.
well, it looks like it's just the bottom number.
Is it just?
Yeah, I mean, I got 137,388 using 682,167.
Okay.
You're only talking about a difference of $10, so.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just that bottom number.
Yeah.
And you assess by population?
Yeah, population only at this point. And I believe that is going by the town's most recent certified population. And another thing to go on, back on the state 911 grants, the funding for them is based off of population off the national census. So those funding numbers will change come FY20 because that's when the next census actually comes out. So hopefully the numbers go up and it'll just further help us with some further support on it. But yeah, you guys are looking at, what did you use? The number you had, what,
It was the same, 137, 388.
380 for your assessment for FY20.
Now, that's not what's on the sheet.
Right, because you got those beginning of
Those are the
December.
old sheets.
Okay.
So 137.
Yeah, I didn't have that in this number
Okay.
when those sheets were printed.
What did you have on the old sheet?
I just level funded the previous year.
Okay.
So it's gone down.
Yes.
So if we get
We just-
infinite number of new towns, it'll be free.
Yeah. They'll pay for us, right?
And the last couple pages are just the capital outlay, which we're gonna hold off on due to a grant that Brian brought up. Do you remember what the name
Yeah,
is?
it
I'm
was
not
the
familiar.
regionalization incentive grant through the Mass Community Compact.
So we're gonna be looking at, Rutland's going to apply for all the items under the capital outlay, because I believe it's up to 250,000 that you can apply up to. Rutland is going to apply on behalf of the center for all of the following equipment. Pretty much all of our departments are utilizing mobile and portable radios that are past end of life.
Oh.
Which is not good. The reception is weaker
Yeah.
after some time. Just portable is the
So
lifespan
this is what the
7 to 9.
guys in our town would have. They'd
Yes,
hold this
Karen,
thing.
yes.
So,
Yep.
so when you talk to them
Yep,
through this,
yep.
okay.
And then on the next page is what they would be, that's what the chiefs would be carrying, or the deputy chiefs,
Oh, okay.
sergeants. Those are command portables that have the frequency that they use here, as well as the state police frequencies, and VHF, which some of the communities down south from them are VHF. That's a radio that has 3 different bands in it. The ones on page 12 is just a single band, which is just the frequencies
Yeah,
in this area.
that you need here, yeah.
Yeah. The third page is the actual radios that are in all the cruisers. The one above is mostly what everybody has. Those usually last approximately 10 to 12 years, and I know for sure the majority of them are well past that, as well as the portables are well past the 7 to 9 years that they're expected. So we're looking at replacing everything throughout all of our communities to better provide a safer
You think in
communications.
2020, you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna apply, it's,
Wow.
I think the end date is February 15th, I believe, to submit the
Wonderful.
grant, and I'm not sure when that grant actually releases that money.
They
I've
usually
never-
do it more toward, almost to the end of the fiscal year.
Fiscal year,
Yeah.
okay. So
But I mean,
March,
soon,
July,
soon they'll be having them. Great.
Exactly, yep. They're very pricey, and I know it's hard for each of their departments to purchase them, so. Page 15 is just our roster. We have 10 full-timers, 2 supervisors. We just actually added 2 more training officers, so we do now have 4 training officers and 6 part-time dispatchers. Most of the dispatchers are brand new. Just finished our process. They're all in the midst of their training. They all received their state 911 trainings, but now they're doing all their internal training, which takes some time. It's 5 towns, 5 different sets of policies and procedures that each department has, so it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard.
yeah.
So we're getting there.
Great.
The last page is just pretty much the breakdown of the savings for actual FY19. The number that you guys really want to look at is all the way down here on this side, which is, if you fall over, I believe you guys are saving approximately $14,068 from FY19. So your assessments are, your second half assessments are being reduced by $17,000. So, but that was by bringing on Warren,
Yeah.
which gave you guys the $17,000 savings.
Sounds good. Good job.
Thank you. Any other questions that I can answer for you guys?
I don't think so. Give us a little something to read.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Pleasure. Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
Yep, take it easy, keep warm. DPW.
They're
Yeah,
not
We'll
showing.
save them, we'll save them to the next one. This has been a breakdown of communication.
Oh, okay, just as well. Okay, so.
Yeah, because we might go on for a long time with them.
We'll have them.
Okay, what have we got left now?
Let's see, them, Felton Field, Fire, and Quabbin, and Money Tech.
Anything coming on about, anything about the school, they made any kind of noises yet?
So I've been trying to go to as many budget meetings as I can, but they have theirs on Thursday too, so I finally got to one
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
So they voted on a number to bring forward based off the governor's budget number, which is it's a 2.8% increase in their budget.
Oh.
It becomes a 5.8% increase in our assessment.
Because of the number of kids and all that stuff.
Right. So that's that's with reducing the assessments with E&D, taking $1 million out of the requested budgets or change, or from where they had their request number, which was like a 5.8% increase, down to a 2.8, so they took about $1 million out of that budget. So anything that goes further down is going to be reduced probably through a difference in Chapter 70 or rural aid formula from the House and Senate. So,
But I don't think Boston's got that worked out yet.
No,
I mean, they're
it's-
just arguing about that.
so right now I'm basically trying to build the budget off the, assuming a 5.8% increase in the school.
Yeah,
But
we
that's not even.
can't.
What's that?
Can't do that. We can't do an increase of 5%. What was it last year? What did it come down
I
to?
think do
They were-
something, right?
They were looking for 5 last year, weren't they?
Yeah.
And
Well, I
then
think
we said
I think
no.
at this point, when they passed it, it was 5%, but I think if I'm gonna build a budget to present you guys at the level, I'm gonna have to use that 5% number. Until the House, until the House and Senate numbers come out,
Yeah.
if they change their figures at that point, but
How does
that's
it-
how their numbers decreased last year, was that they came up with a higher cost per student, average for the Chapter 70 formula, so it ended up actually being less in the final amount than what was passed at town meeting.
How were the other towns' percentages, Andrew, did they tell you?
Well, Hubbardston and New Braintree are looking at 8.5% increases.
Really?
The only
No.
one that really makes out is Hardwick, because they had a reduction in their student population. It's actually only like a 0.2% increase
Yeah,
in
but
the
I mean,
budget.
don't they have a reduction in the whole system, the number of kids?
About 100 kids from the previous year.
Yeah.
The big thing that's going to, well, I don't want to say a big thing that's going to kill us, but a big hit, is educational-wise, is the Monty Tech assessment went up over $100,000 from last
Really?
year. So went from about 320
So more-
to about
more kids are
400.
going there.
We had 17 kids, additional kids go to Monty Tech than the previous year.
That's a good school.
If
I
our
can
kids
see
are
why.
going to Monty Tech, then Quabbin should be coming down.
No, you don't understand. The less kids that you have, the more the cost goes up. So when you have no kids, you have an infinite cost of the school. Simple.
Mhm.
You just look at
Estimate.
it. That's what's been going on all the time, and I sit back and I say, when does it ever turn
They've got
around?
to stop. It's got to stop with them.
I mean, right now, they got 50% of the seats filled, and they can't decide what the hell to do.
Well, the thing is too, they haven't voted to, they say kids are going down, the school costs are still there. I mean, it's only $170,000 according to their calculations, but, with New Braintree, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with that school and how their town votes whether to keep it open, because as much as they say that, well, the school population's going down, at some point you gotta make a decision about the schools themselves, and whether or not it's a
Yeah.
functional model to have 5 elementary schools with reduced, with enrollments continuing to reduce, so we'll see what happens.
Well, facts don't matter in that group. I watched that happen. I just sit back and shake my head.
I mean, they're saying too that, that they wouldn't do it because of from a cost perspective, it would be from an operational perspective, because the cost perspective is only $170,000 reduction in the budget.
That's the
which
latest
is-
one. It was $1 million the first time they made it.
Right.
Now it's 170.
Right.
Pretty soon it'll be more to let go with less students. I just,
Now, the sewer and water haven't come in either.
That would be part of DPW.
Oh, that will all go on one?
Yeah.
yeah.
We go to the DPW commission next week, so I can follow up with them, affirm their attendance at their next meeting.
So we're gonna go
Water
with
Water
14.
is going to be all on their own now.
Water's been on their own.
Oh, so I mean,
Sewer will be on
So
its
they'll
own.
both be on their own now,
Mhm.
Yeah.
this year,
Yeah.
which I think is a major step. I mean, I really like that.
So we're gonna have.
And what we're looking at doing too is splitting the
DPW.
director's salary between the 3 entities.
Yeah.
So that way, it frees it, because he has that oversight over the other enterprise funds, it
Yeah.
splits it equitably and frees up some funding in the operational budget, so.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was looking over the DPU, it doesn't seem that bad.
Should be good.
No.
So the 14th, which is next Thursday.
That's the budget hearing for the school, for Quabbin.
So you wanna,
Well, the next meeting is until the 21st, though, right?
'cause it went.
21st
we
is
was-
what I got.
Yeah, I think we had an error in that.
Okay.
Yeah, there was, yeah, 'cause
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be the 21st.
21st, yeah.
And we'll have, the DPW is coming in. I'm marking up that sheet that we got at the beginning. You said DPW Felton?
Felt good.
They've never come in before. Why are they coming in?
They've requested an operational budget for next year, so I asked them to come and talk to you.
See, I knew they were gonna do this.
But
It's
they've asked-
going,
But they've asked for a capital as well.
they're going for the just like the library did. Here we go again.
Oh, half season?
No, you end up with the whole thing like we are with the library.
Oh.
The library was functioning on their own. Then they built the addition and they used up all their annuities. So the town had to take them over. That happened before you came.
Yeah. Uh,
Now Felton is gonna do the same thing. We can't pick them up. They've been taking care of themselves all these years.
I'll let them come in and
See
talk
what
to
they
you guys.
got to say.
Yeah. I'm.
So
It
Felton,
just irritates me.
Felton Fire, DPW, just 3. Is that what you have?
I'm all confused.
In the
So,
schools.
Oh, school.
wait a minute, so on the 14th is what?
No,
Nothing
the
on the
14th is
14th.
nothing.
Is
14th is nothing
Yeah.
for you guys meeting, but
Okay.
it's the school's public hearing is that night.
Now, the 21st, we're supposed to, we better do DPW, Felton and Fire. And then on the 14th, no, the 1st, March 1st, we originally had Quabbin and Monty Tech.
Yep, we'll have them in there too.
That same night?
Sure.
Okay, so on March 21st, it's
gonna be a long
Quab and
meeting.
Monty Tech, Felton Field, DPW, and Fire.
Yep.
Okay.
And Monty Tech and Quabbin, you got
Yeah.
that on there? Yep. And we have to do the vote on the,
And please.
yeah, the reserve fund.
Which
The
was
Monty
after May
Tech is
1st, we
quite
just
an
moved the money
operation.
we could just move the money from Rutland Regional.
What's
It's
that?
too bad it wasn't after May 1st, you could just move the money over from our Rutland Regional.
Do a transfer, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
But if they see that we're using it, then they're gonna come, others are gonna come look for money too.
Oh, yeah.
So we've gotta say, this is money coming back to us, so we're really not giving it.
Yeah, what I'm working on right now for next year's reserve, what I want to try to do is calculate a certain percentage of what our exposure is for our overtime, or for our vacation costs
Yeah,
and for
yeah.
benefits. So that way we can, in the instance that we get in that situation where somebody leaves, we have to pay them out
Yeah,
their vacation
yeah.
time. We know that that's backed up in the
Yeah,
reserve
we have
fund.
done that times.
So that's
Prior.
the goal for next year, is to
Yeah.
include that funding.
We could, our minutes. Did you get those?
Yeah.
We haven't approved them
Yeah,
yet.
but you can't vote on it. You
Oh,
have
we
to vote.
can't, that's right.
But
Next
I
week.
remember it's sort of that way, so I'm ready to vote yes.
Preliminary, yes.
Okay, so that's gotta be covered on the next
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah, I'll carry it.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you think? We're gonna have to raise up the white flag, surrender here, or we're gonna be close?
On the budget?
Yeah.
Totally fine. Everybody's not gonna get everything they want, but we'll be
No,
fine.
we have to
Yeah.
cut them. And this stuff you can cut on their budgets.
Oh, I know. I've already, everything's already been redlined, for the most part, based off of where I anticipate us being. We'll have some conversations at some point here about what stays in and what comes out. So.
Yeah.
But I'm just about ready to go. I mean, after you guys hear the next round, I'll be ready to give you guys another set of budgets to. Well, I don't know if we want to talk about the stuff that was proposed, that was proposed so far. And you guys tell me what you think can come out before. So that way you guys can really advance
I
and
just,
stuff.
when I see 6% and 7% increases in this economy, I don't see how you can justify it. Forget the fact that we can go 2.5 on the taxes. I mean, you see 2 or 3, inflation, whatever, I mean, it's just, 6, it's pie in the sky in this world, I think. I don't think things are booming that much.
I don't think we're gonna be able to get the pay thing through.
I don't think so either. I think it's gotta be, I'm already planning on a modified version of that to address the most underpaid
Underpaid. Yeah.
employees
I mean, I think
Specifically,
you've
library.
highlighted that, you've
Right.
highlighted that, so I think that's a very good start.
That's the first.
Yeah,
So it's specifically a library, and I think that's there's maybe 1 or 2 admin positions in here. Those are the first ones that we'll want to take care of, and then next year we can basically kind of say, all right, check the boxes as far as which of these positions are already in the common class plan that we want to adopt. Which ones can we bring in, and which ones haven't we? The ones that we haven't, then we'll look at next year and see if we can at least get them halfway there.
I think we should end up with that, so you have, if you're coming to work here, you have some idea of
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think that's a good thing to do. One of the thoughts I was reading, especially the police budget, and I see all these stipends. And I'm saying that if you have an adequate salary base, why do you have a stipend? Okay, in other words, stipend to me meant where you couldn't do anything for the salary, so you say, geez, we got an extra 100. Claire, you did a
Yeah.
hell of a job, here's your 100,
Yeah.
okay? And I don't have a problem with that. But when we say we have an adequate salary situation now, and then we still get the stipend, it's one thing. The other thing is, this business of education, okay? To a certain extent, I think education is good, provided there's a place to need it, okay? But the point is, if you're doing job A, and you got a doctoral, job A doesn't require a doctoral.
No.
I don't want to pay you for it. I don't want to pay you for it. I'm sorry. You got to go to another place who needs you.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's one of the issues that I see about some of the education is if you need to get this job and you need an education, I think there should be a plan for somebody in here who's going for that. But I don't know, it's just tough for me to.
Specifically on the police department.
Yeah, that's the one.
The tough part with a lot of that is that a lot, that's what's built into the contract. So
Oh, yeah.
it's really a matter of.
Oh, that you
you
are
gotta,
not.
you know,
Oh,
you
not
gotta
gonna
give and
change
take.
that,
You
yeah.
gotta give and take. One of the benefits of the stipend position is that those benefits that they're getting are not subject to 2% increases. So while the salaries are going up 2% every year, those aren't included. So you don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about those salaries growing that much more. But, in kind of like on the opposite side of that argument, I mean, that's really kind of those stipends are kind of part of that good salary that they get and enjoy. So, I understand the frustration with it, but if you're going to do extra work for that other people aren't doing, you want some sort of compensation for it, I guess.
I mean, to me, the one example that struck that home was, you got a guy shoveling dirt, you contract with a 5-pound shovel to carry 3 pounds of dirt, okay? So 8 pounds is the total weight. And then, as the boss, I buy an aluminum shovel, okay? So the shovel weight goes down by 1 pound, and he adds another pound of dirt. Still shoveling 8 pounds of dirt. Who gets the money? The shoveler or the guy that thought up the shovel? To me, not the shoveler. Nothing happened to him. He's still shoveling 8 pounds. Somebody that decided technical innovation, okay, and investment, they should get the benefit of the 1 pound. Well, that example goes everywhere if you look at it real hard. And just, to me, if you, I work electric company. We had a guy, he was in sales. He went to get his law degree. The company paid him. What do you think he did?
That took a great
Left.
job.
He left. All right? So I'm saying to myself, that wasn't a good investment. So you get somebody that's in this job that doesn't need to get a bachelor's degree, and he goes gets it. What's going to happen? He's gone. You paid his exit fee out. Doesn't make sense. I don't know. I don't wanna be a bad guy, but I mean, at some point,
Yeah,
it's gotta be involved.
I like to believe in training your employees so that way they can leave, but treat them well enough that they don't want to.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, that if you're paying for him, if you're paying for him to be educated in something, you gotta be able to see how that's gonna benefit you. If you can't make that adjustment, you can't avoid the cost, that's all. So, did I get a copy of that, or is that my copy?
I think that one's for the other two.
Oh, there it is, yeah. Go homework.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank
All
you,
in favor?
Jen.
It's one vote you can't take.
Oh, Lord.